Look around you. Look at the world. Look at the Caucasus. He chose the shapes of buildings, what they are made of inside out. The sounds you hear on radio, the music you think you like, is what he allows to be played. The actors or actresses you see and say I like him or her, are because he let them have a part in his world, a movie, cinema, or play that he approved of, not created. And he fears you using your own mind. Sounds, lights or feelings under his control. And other sub-races follow right behind him. They depart from their own country and remove their own cultures for his dress, music, foods and what is beautiful to them. So their women have to try and look and sound like the Caucasoid woman or they feel they're not beautiful. This is the spell that must be overcome. You see, dreadlocks are still shoulder-length hair like extensions, a way to have long flowing hair like their long flowing fur, still under the spell. And feel I don't or won't look beautiful without long, flowing, shoulder-length locks. Be proud of your hair, your African, woolly, nappy, kinky hair. Give them back their image too. And don't accept that these facts about race are racism. Racism begun in their Bible by their God, in Genesis 3:15, and I Lord God, Yahweh Elohim will put enmity online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 342, Iba, to hate, hostility, enemy, oppression, all the way to online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 347, hated. So read Genesis 3:15, and I the Lord God will put hate between your seed, online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 2233, heirs, Zerah, Sarah, from heirs, Zara, Zara, to sow, plant, conceive, seed, posterity, carnally, child, to online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 2235, offspring. Now let's look at it again from the Hebrew/Chaldean of Genesis 3:15, and I the Lord God will bring about hatred between you Nakash, online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 5175, Nahash, Nakash, a hissing creature, whispering one, from online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 5172, to whisper. They use it for snake or serpent yet its root is in wisdom, wise one, magical rites, sorcery, omen, divination, incantation, bronze serpent. So in fact it's not a creature or a devil, or an actual snake, it is action, rite, ritual which makes you call the one who does it Nakash, whisper, sneaky. 1 Kings 20:33, Leviticus 19:26, 2 Kings 17:17, 21-6, 2 Corinthians 33:6, Deuteronomy 18:10, something used by human beings, mortals, not some snake or creature. In fact, in Genesis 44:5, Joseph claims their Yahweh Lord divineth, which is online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 5172, whispers evil omens. So it's an action of a human person. So if we look again at Genesis 3:15, and I the Lord God will bring about hatred between you this person who spoke Eve in the garden's offspring. Children, seed and her the women Eve offspring, children, seed. That, according to their own Bible, and the Quranic thinkers agree with this story. This is the very first racism. The first hatred between two people. And if you think that was still a snake in the garden, produce one reptile, snake or otherwise that can speak, talk as this person did with both Eve and God. Right there in Genesis chapter 3, and even their God did not say, what, told you that you were naked? Genesis 3:11, he said, who, not, what, told you that you were naked? And if you still claim this was a snake as the devil then what does Revelation 13:18 say in part, the beast, for it is the number of a man. And what does 2 Thessalonians 2:3 say, in part, that man of sin be revealed? And Isaiah 14:12-17, and in Ezekiel 28:9-15, look what it says in that verse, until iniquity, online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 5766-5769, from number 5765, of all, morally wrong, deal unjustly, unrighteous, from above, over, highest. So it's clear in Chaldean Hebrew it's talking about a person not a snake. And he was once an angel in the garden walking around there as their God walked around this garden, Genesis 3:8. And this garden was in Africa, Ethiopia, Genesis 2:10-13. So now reread your own Bible and see what it says who created the first racism. Their own Lord God right there in Genesis 3:15, and all throughout their Bible it says don't mix with those people, don't marry that group or tribe of people, that's racism. Separation of his own creations, Genesis 24:2-3, and 37, Genesis 28:1 and 6, Genesis 27:46, and Deuteronomy 7:1-3. That is the origin of worldwide racism, their own religious book the Bible and its child the Quran. Not Nuwapu. So don't fall for that trick of, these people, Nuwapians, are racist. Reread all of this. It's about trying to live in peace with a race who only has in their nature from their God to hate all other races. Now Nuwapians look at this God or Elohim. According to the Chaldean and Hebrew, it's online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 430 from number 410. El would be one and Elohim is more than one El. Just as in Arabic you have Allah or Ilah, one, and Al-Haadi is more than one Ilah. So you see that as the Torah has it in Genesis 1:1, it's the Elohim, a group of beings, and then Genesis 2:4 it becomes one of them as Yahweh Elohim, or as they say the Lord God, which is in fact a master of the judges. As you see in Psalm 82:1, God online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 430, Elohim standeth in congregation of the mighty of, online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 410, not its El, a God of online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 430, the gods. It goes on to say he judgeth among the gods, online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 430, as not the God, or a God, but gods. And you see online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 410, as El and as he, not them, or they. Now read Psalm 83, keep not thou silence, O God, online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 430, Elohim gods hold not thy peace. And be not still O God, online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 410, God. So it's clear that in the Bible and Quran it's not speaking about only one God, but one of the many gods. And they are given their choice of which one will or should be their one El or Allah, not them as Elohim or Al-Haadi. Yet they try to make you choose the one they chose for you. Now let's look back at Genesis 1:1, you see Elohim, in Genesis 2:4 you see Yahweh Elohim, and in Genesis 3:1 you get both the Lord God and just God, or Yahweh of the Elohim, or Elohim gods, then Genesis 4:1 you see only Yahweh the Lord. Then in Genesis 4:25, God or gods, onto Genesis 4:26, they say then, or after the birth of Enos, men began to call upon the name of the Lord, online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 3068, YHWH, Yahweh, Jehovah, which also is shortened in the Bible to Jah or Yah in Psalm 68:4 with Elohim. So most people who read the Bible and Quran who follow those religions of Abrahamism, Mosesism, Jesusism, and Mohammedism can't read the original language or dialects of their own scriptures. They have no idea all this is going on behind their mistranslations of their Bible and Quran. So, when you read Genesis 1 it's speaking about a group of gods, then by Genesis 2, because Genesis 1:2 states the spirit of the Elohim separated and came down to earth from heaven. Genesis 1:2 in part, and the online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 7307, Ruach, soul, spirit of God, online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 430, judges, gods, moved upon the face of the waters. So one of the Elohim or an El in spiritual form or soul came down to do a job, and when you get to Genesis 2:4 you get a name of this El. He is called the Lord, online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 3068, which means living one, Yahweh, from online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 1961, Haya, exist, living, so he became alive, incarnated. And it's from online Bible Strong's Hebrew number 2416, K, alive, living, and you find this confirmed in Genesis 2:7, for man becoming a living spirit. Yet in dust or flesh and blood. So one of those Elohim or an El incarnated to earth and became, named Yahweh or Jah, an El of the Elohim called Yahweh of the Elohim, and Allah or Ilah of the Al-Haadi. Same beings or gods. You just chose one of them and have no other than the one you chose to be your one God, or one Allah, that is all. And some were good and others of them evil, according to their own books. You will find don't worship those other Elohims or Al-Haadi, that is don't worship other else or Allahs, only one Yahweh or Rab. Now let's look back at the one in Genesis 3 who is speaking to Eve, Nakash, and Adam. But that is not all who he spoke with, as you read on. Once Nakash, called the serpent in Genesis 3:1, finished showing Eve how this one of the Elohim gods lied to her Genesis 3:2-3, and how Adam and Eve became equal to this God, Genesis 3:5, that is transformed into Elohim, a god. Like the Elohim of Genesis 1:1, a mortal can become an Elohim god. Read Exodus 7:1 or Psalm 82:1-7 and John 10:34-35. Yes you can. And the Elohim knew this fact and tried to lie to keep it from Adam and Eve. And once they did betake and become Elohim, this El, one of the Elohim, was afraid, fear. Read Genesis 3:22, it's a Yahweh of the Elohim. Note what this El has to say, and the Lord God said behold the man, Adam/Eve, is become as one of us. Now what did that just say? It said that the Lord God speaking to others he calls us, saying look, the human being is now just like one of us. Is not that exactly what Nakash said to Eve in Genesis 3:5? Yes it is. So this Jah, Yahweh of the Elohim, this one El feared the mortals becoming his and their equal. That's what their Bible says, and Muslims accept the Bible as one of their holy books, so in this case this one God would be their one God Allah. One and the same. He goes on to say in Genesis 3:22, to know good and evil. Next he feared they could live forever like Elohim. That is what it says. Now read Genesis 3:24, and as you see just which group of Elohim this El belongs to. Was it seraphim or cherubim? It says right there that this El of the Elohim said become as one of us. That means he is included with this group which is stated right there in Genesis 3:24. So he drove out the man and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims. Online Bible Hebrew number 3742, Ker-Rubim or cherub, as one. So this El was one of the Elohim which were in heaven. Both the good ones and evil ones, Ezekiel 28:13-15, yes one and the same. What did he not want? He did not want them to know there were good angels, seraphim, and evil angels cherubim. And he was of the evil angels who were cast out of heaven, Revelation 12:7-13, one and the same, John 8:44. Now it should be clear that there was more than one God in Genesis 1 or the Quran, and you ask to accept one as your God or Lord, who in most cases was the wrong choice. It's the evil one. He says his name is El Shaddai. If you open up the box that the Jews have on their head for prayer you will see they worship El Shaddai. And right in Exodus 6:2-3 it states or he states to Moses, and God online Bible Hebrew number 430 Elohim spake unto Moses and said unto him, I am the Yahweh. And I appeared, online Bible Hebrew number 7200, Rawa, to be seen physically, to see, appear, behold. So he says to Moses, I'm the one who appeared to Abraham, Genesis 17:1. It says right there, this is El Shaddai, or online Bible Hebrew number 410, El, and online Bible Hebrew number 7706 Shaddai, one and the same who appeared to him physically, ate with him, had two others with him called angels and, Genesis 18:1-33, he came down in human form, and ate what? Flesh, then sent his two angels to kill the people of Sodom, Genesis 19:1-29. So who in fact are the Jews, Christians, and Muslims worshipping? An evil El, a bad angel, a cherubim, a liar, a killer which they call their own God. Or the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Once you reread the Bible and Quran you see that this one God they chose, as you read in Exodus 23, and his nature is revealed Exodus 25, so there is more than one. El Shaddai in Hebrew is the Al-Shaddai, same word. They give different meanings and know that the Caucasoids of each religion are the leaders of others of other races who accept the Jerusalem religions, and Jerusalem was originally in the land of Canaan, Cadmon or Jebusites' land. They know who and what they are leading you to worship, one blood-lusting flesh-eating God or Allah, Yahweh, Jah. All this is to say truth is truth. In Wu-Nu-Wapu we have to redeem our own people from this evil, and help those of darker skin races if they will listen. Many give their life to Caucasoids and will do anything for them, just as some Negroes do. Unfortunately, with all this said, not only among Negroes but many others world over, even in Africa, Caucasoids had a system of body and mind control in the form of religion, that opens them up for walk-ins. Evil angels come into their bodies, they call it being saved, or receiving the Spirit or Holy Ghost, yet they don't explain why in Acts 2:2-3, why this rushing wind is called Mighty Shaddai. And why is it of fire? Matthew 5:22 and James 3:6 speaks for itself, this is hell's fire. And your family member becomes possessed of one of the ghost of cherubim, evil angels. Look at how a person acts in a church once they claim to be filled with the Holy Ghost, and look at how a person acts who is possessed in voodoo or Yoruba, or Santeria or Satanism, one and the same actions. So it will be very hard to make them see their religion is not what they think after being possessed all their physical lives. The Caucasoids have used Wicca or sorceries, witchcraft in the form of religion. They will fight you, call you names, yet don't give up, take your time, truth will prevail. Individual races and nations have been targeted for conversion to their religions to take their souls. Then once there they take over the government, schools, wealth, and you see people start to disappear, go gone, never to be seen again, just up and gone. Not at all. These are flesh and blood sacrifices and offerings to their bloodlusting deities. So many subraces will reject Negroids and cater to Caucasoids' whims and wills for more economic or military handouts that keep them as pawns of Caucasoids' interests. They live for and by Caucasoids and will hate you, and for them to prove to Caucasoids that they love them they will call you names and try and act just like Caucasoids, not knowing they are being used to get into their original lands for souls, flesh, blood, wealth. They give their lives over to another who they can never be. It's called selling yourself out. The Caucasoids races had the whole world of darker-skinned people on their worldwide welfare rolls called CARE or Red Cross, Bloody Cross. This is one of the first steps in. The sooner dark-skinned peoples wake up and break this evil spell and overstand Wu-Wapu, that is the only way to true independence and real progress in self-creativeness, the better off all will be. Darker-skinned people world over must awaken and realize although they are not as heavily oppressed, suppressed and repressed as the African, they still have a long way to go to be master of their own destiny. Return and give back all the Caucasoids taught you. They lie. Give back their images of their God. Their way of life, their religions, all of them. That will break the spell of spookism. Even in most races, the lighter-skinned members always abuse the darker-skinned of their own land. As you see in Indian and Latin American culture, in Asia, with Arabs, in the Caribbean, all over the world, lighter-skinned of darker races take the lead and become the preachers, ministers, imams, rabbi, Kohen, the leader of the group or band, always, but that is arranged by the Caucasoids. He will use lighter-skinned Negroes, Latinos, Indians to enslave the darker. He uses religions like Islam and Muslims in Africa to help enslave the darker-skinned Africans. And this is still going on today. Count the dark-skinned Negro actors and female actresses and singers, not rappers. That's okay because of how they are classed. Look around the world and world leaders in lands that are of black-skinned people with light-skinned rulers today. This must stop. The Caucasian first sent their harlots, their Jezebels into a land. They mixed their seed to breed half-breeds, but because they're not accepted as Caucasoids, no matter how light or if their hair becomes fur. Not accepted. They seek out others to mix with. They say I want a man with good hair, that meant straight or curly, and light eyes, meant hazel eyes and or a red bone woman. You see all the stars today use red bones in their videos, making the next generation of girls who are dark-skinned with woolly hair and dark eyes want perms, bleach, contacts, and light makeup to look like the harlot or queen who rides this beast. So they put on TV, and in cinemas, Africa as a bad place. Make us look bad in their media. To make you not want to go home or proud to be African, your own dress, image. It's all an evil plot. They tried to erase all dark-skinned people on the planet, yet it cannot be done. So now they are trying to bring the standards of living up of light-skinned Negroes world over so they can blend in with them. Trying to make their lips bigger, their butts bigger, curl their hair, play parts with black stars. To try again, but it's too late for them. Their 6,000 years is over. 666 man of sin will not nor ever win. So by using that same prescription as just described in this papyrus for you Negroids, other darker races can liberate themselves and be free. Of course, each race's application of nature's laws and way will be in each race's own nature, as it's most effective this way. They will not listen to you for their love of them. In other words, the solutions to world problems for Negroids is the solution for other races also against the number of common enemy called the Caucasoid races. The Caucasoid races killed off most of the original Africans who migrated to Europe long before the Caucasoid was grafted from their masters who tried to civilize the Caucasoid, which cannot be done no matter how long. This was 6,000 years ago. The others Negroids ran to return to Africa. Many had half-breed children who stayed in Africa now saying they are everything but Africans. They claim, we are Egyptian, Arab or Turks, Libyans, Tunisians, Algerians, Moroccans and others, but they don't like to be called Africans the same way light-skinned Negroes will not call themselves African. They say Afro-American, African-American. You name anything but what they are, African, not accepted by Europeans as one of them. So when they returned to Africa's Egypt, many were mixed seeds, others moved around the globe and stole whole continents and took over up until less than 500 years ago. And now up to be they tried to take over the Middle East, which is your Islamic Arabs war with Christian and Jewish Caucasoids. They had no intentions of stopping until they kill off most sub-races of darker people on Earth and steal all the lands for the planet and establish a permanent world under themselves, one world order, called the New World Order. For the whole Caucasus race, they are all Hitlers. Yet it did not work. Their time ended and now they are slowly fading away, out of world respect, out of world wealth, out of world power. Cannot rule. The year 2000 AD was in fact 6000 AD, the end of their rule. Can they be reformed? No. We tried. Their women will start to leave their men for other darker races of men. The Caucasoid race was able to conquer and control people and nations anywhere in the world. But they could not defeat and destroy the laws of nature based on circles of life and cycles of time. When a species time it up, it must go. And they're the last on the human chain and must be the first to go. That is the law of nature. Their time is up. Then will follow one after the other of the sub-races who are their tail, or follow them. They also will fade away. Therefore, these factors and forces are your way. And you were first, so you will be the last to stand when all other races fade away if they don't choose to start to respect nature and her supreme race, the children of the sun, Melaninite children, Africans. All Africans are one race regardless of where in Africa we live today or what we call ourselves. We are the supreme beings. The God and creator of all others. The first and the last. King of kings. Ruler of rulers. Now all we have to do is return to Wu Nuwapu and practice our true way of life Nuwapu and be Nuwapians. Speak Nuwapic. This does mean not forget our tribal way or natures. Not at all. Be whatever but be Nuwapian, that is who you are, not what you became. We must all adhere to the divine codes. The circles and cycles of natural nature. We must return to our divine state as gods, not mere men.